Hey, welcome back to the Half Time Homestead. So today we're going to change out my old analog timer with this new Intermatic PE723P. They make a couple different styles of these. There's one that controls 2, one that controls 3 different things. I bought the one that controls 2. I'm also going to add the PE700 freeze protection. That connects, from what I read, to here, goes out the side here and exposed to the air. I have never done this before, so I'm a little timid. That's what we're getting rid of. I've put 3 of these in the past year. They keep shorting out somehow, so I'm going to go to a digital. We're going to start the whole process by turning off power. Now the power's turned off, we have to disconnect and remove this box. So I got my trusty screwdriver here. I'm going to take off the cover plate. Now the power's turned off. This is the reason I'm timid. All these wires in here sure make it look pretty complicated, but according to that paperwork, it's not. Take these off, put these on, take the screw out, twist to the side, it comes off. It's got a keyway on it. This is a little more difficult, but they just pop right off, get them out of the way. So that's why I'm a little timid with this. We got the power coming from the box here, coming in with these 2 wires. This is our power grid, then we have a grounding block. Again, I've never done this before, so this will be the first. I'm going to start with just disconnecting the 2 power wires coming out of my main over here. So you have your 2 powers and a ground. Power. And here's my ground. We'll go ahead and just totally remove from the system here. There's power coming out of the box. Don't forget to save your little wire nuts things. I'm just going to stick them back on here for the time being. And we have to do the same. This one here, this is my booster pump for my cleaner. This one here is for my main pump, and this was for the salt system, which I don't use anymore. So since we already have this flat tip out, we're going to disconnect the other 2 grounds. Next we'll take the booster pump power wire and stuff off. That's coming to these 2 here. I think I've told you before, doing this stuff, this is not how I cut off my thumb. In case you're wondering. So we have all of our power wires and grounds disconnected now. And I guess this new box coming over here, it just has like 6 different spots to put wires in. This is our main pump here, wiring. Alright, so there's all the wiring I guess I need for the new one. So before I stick it on the wall here, this is how big it is now. Little keyhole in the back. So obviously that's going to little bit more rigid once I hook up all the wire bottoms here. There's two on the bottom here I have to use to do these knockouts. So we'll start off, pretty sure it's the small one, which it is. So get a flat tip screwdriver and a little hammer, and I'll pop those two out. So I just went to the table, sit on the table, put it on the little piece here and just smack it. This is our freeze control wire. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drill a small hole in this. I'm not going to knock this whole knockout out because out here the dirt daubers will build nests in there and the wasps will get in there and the bees will get in there. So we'll do that a little bit later. So I'll take the two knockouts out. And I'm pretty sure they're going to fit. Let's dry fit here. This is the main power coming in, which I will probably have to knock this one out over here because we have two pumps. So let's do that real quick. Doesn't take a lot of pressure, just one little smash. It comes right out. Now if you have bigger, obviously bigger wires, you have to knock out that other section. I think it's going to have to happen is I'm not going to be able to have it up here. I'm going to have to drop it down. Because of the wiring. Somewhere down here. So I did go to the store and purchase a 90 degree for this here because it was like stretching really hard. And I got to make sure that the height for these two is going to be good with this guy. Because this one was stretching really hard, this one was too long. So we're going to set the box up there. I took the door off because it was a pain in the butt. I'm thinking probably here. That's a good distance there. Might go a little bit lower. So we'll go into this brick right here. I bought some green anchors and a 5/16 masonry bit. Grab our anchor. Guess you don't have to pound them in there, huh? I'm guessing the hole's too big, but yeah, they look too big. See if it holds. Where that sits. Then this is flat tip or a electrical bit, which I don't have. The guy at the depot told me I had to use. So there's a ridge inside here, goes up to that, stops. And we'll start our two screws. I just noticed it says dry only, so I'll probably have to go back after I hook it all up, make sure it works. Replace it with a wet one. I don't want too much pressure on the box, pulling the box. I'll probably drill another hole down here. That one. so all the wires are in the box now. Now we got to hook it up. Instructions are pretty basic. They don't really tell you anything. Remote inputs, figure A, figure B. A is a 3-circuit, B is a 2-circuit. I think this is for both the 2 and the 3. We have the 2, so we're going to go with figure B. So power to the timer is going to go L1, L2. I had problems wiring it, so I'm going to do this little wiring schematic here to the best I can. I had to call Intermatic, talk to Ken, don't talk to anybody else. The first guy I talked to decided that I was out of my element. I am your typical homeowner. I want to upgrade my stuff, and then I want to pay thousands of dollars to do it. So I purchased this myself and installed it, and then I had problems wiring it. I bought the 2 pump system here. This is the schematic for it here. It does not give you very good, in my opinion, very good information for the basic homeowner. Now, if I'm a wire guy, no problem. I'm not a wire guy. In case you're wondering, doing wires is not how I cut off my thumb. So I'm going to attempt to draw the schematic out that Ken helped me do via the telephone after I wired it the wrong way. I'll put the wrong wiring in the little box down there so you can see what I did wrong. So I have a secondary schematic I've already drawn out here so I can copy it. It's not very easy. So I have 2 wires coming off my 30 amp. I have a black wire and a red wire. Now the wire schematic has the L2 and L1 labeled different. It has L1 on this side and L2 over here. On the actual box itself, it's opposite, so I drew it on like the box is here. So to start with, he had me take my black power wire out of my breaker and run to the L2 side. And then I had my red wire out of the other side of the breaker running to the L1. For ease of install, we ran the L1 to COM1. This is power in for your pump power. This powers the box. L1 and L2 powers the box. Circuit 1, circuit 2 COM is what power goes in and then comes out the normally open when the power goes in to close the circuit to send power to the pump. So then we jumpered L1 over to COM in, and then we jumpered L2 to COM1. So like I said, power comes into the box here, goes to the relay system, and then when the pump turns on, it comes out of L2, powers the relay, which turns on normally open, makes it closed, which sends power to the pump. So that's how you get power to the circuit. Now we have to get power to the pump. Now we have 3 wires, obviously coming out of the breaker and out of the breaker box and out of the pumps. The ground wire, which we just kind of drug over here out of all 3, and we just wire netted them together because the ground wire is grounded inside the circuit breaker box. Next, we had to take pump power. So this is the same, I guess it isn't the same. This is where I got thrown for a loop. It took me a while to understand it. So we take the main pump power. This is our pool pump. That's great. And this is our booster pump. In my case, you could have 2 pumps. Doesn't make a difference. They're both pumps. They both take 110 in my case. So we took the first pump wire out of the pool, main pump, and we ran it into L2. Now you got 3 wires going into this. You can make a jumper wire as well. You can use a wire nut and go into 1 wire if you want to. I was able to get all 3 of the wires inside that screw housing for that L2.
I just did it wrong. That one's supposed to go to L1. Okay. And then we take, I hope this doesn't confuse you too much. So pool pump breaker goes into L1. Out power for circuit 2 goes into the other side of the main pool pump. So I'll give you a picture of the other schematic I drew because it's better, but down below. So main pool pump goes into L1. Other side of the pool pump goes into circuit 1. One wire of the other pump goes into L2. And the other wire of the other pump goes into circuit 2, normally open, like so. You try to use the same colors for the wiring on the pump because the pumps will be the same. You can wire this pump to that one or that pump to this one, doesn't make a difference. And that's where it kind of confused me, was why I was going to L2. Perhaps L2 is circuit 2, but power to power 1, I couldn't understand any of it. But hey, everything works. So one wire of the power for the pump goes into L1. The other wire from the pump goes into normally open circuit 1. And then your ground. For my boost pump, goes into L2, goes into circuit 2 power out, or normally open, and the ground. And everything ran. This is an incredibly simplified drawing. I also had a freeze protection piece I put on this, just a little sensor. It goes outside, has 2 white wires on it that come off of here. I drilled a small hole in the box, ran the wires up in here, and then it sits outside the box to get actual outside temperature. According to Ken Intermatic, Ken's awesome, by the way, at Intermatic, he said that if the freeze protection bulb stays inside the box, it can get temperature the temperature can be messed up because of the heat created off the circuit board when the pumps are on. So make sure that your freeze protection is outside the box. They give you a little circle with a hole about the size of this pen to run 2 number 16 wires through. So it's wide open, and in Texas we get dirt daubers, and they'll make houses in there, bees, wasps, whatever. So I drilled a 5/32 hole through the hole, and then I ran the wire in there. You can cut the wire to whatever length you want. I left it at the length it was because I was concerned about the impedance. I thought maybe it had to be that length, but Ken did say you can cut it whatever length you want. So that is an incredibly simplified way to wire up the pump for the Intermatic. This one right here. So here's my other drawing without pictures, without squares and boxes on it. All right, if you have any questions, obviously don't ask me. Comment down below, call Ken Intermatic. If you get the guy that tells you you're out of your element, I guess he doesn't understand that homeowners are trying to improve their house, and this is what he's going to have to learn to deal with. So like and subscribe down below.
This is what the inside of the box looks like here. So this is our main power. It goes on this side over here. This is our second circuit. So we're going to trim these wires just a little bit, not too much. So I had to call Intermatic to actually get this wired up because I'm not smart enough. So power's coming in on this red wire and this black wire to the 2 terminals here. I have to jumper L2 to the COM1, L1 to COM2, which is this wire here. And then you take one of the pump wires, so I'm running 2 110. One of them goes to the normally open, the other one goes to the opposite circuit power, and vice versa. I also changed out this, and then I added a screw back here to keep it from wiggling. And I put in a freeze control. So the freeze is just 2 screws,
I drilled a tiny hole, like I said earlier, right there, and then ran it through. And then connecting to the internet was incredibly difficult. It took 4 different tries, but I finally got it. So, like and subscribe, check out below all the stuff I used in this. Have fun out.